It was just so good we had to do it again. Welcome in, everybody. Episode 122, part 2 of Three Guys Before the Game with our special guest, Bill Kirelawich, Tony Caridi with the Senator, Brad Howe. In our first episode, and if you haven't listened yet, we encourage you to do that. Go back and listen. We did a chronological look back at Bill Kirelawich's days growing up in eastern Pennsylvania, playing high school ball, playing at Salem here in West Virginia, back to coaching, 9 years in high school, made the transition because of relationships. It's always the relationship with Donnie Young and Eddie Passed Along, and got back to West Virginia as a part-time assistant coach in Frank Signetti's final season at WVU, 1979. Don Nehlen didn't tell him he was going to hire him or fire him. He just said, go to work, show me what you can do, and he did, and they kept him as a full-time assistant coach. West Virginia under Don Nehlen begins the 1980 season with a victory over Cincinnati. Then things start to roll for West Virginia. That was a 6-win year, Kirlav.
Yep.
Your first year, and then in an
indication, 6-win, the last win of the year. All right, we drove to Rutgers. I recruited my way up, went over to Rutgers. My wife was at West Reading having my kid, my daughter Mickey.
Oh, wow.
So I have the meetings at night, and I say to Don, I got to get to the hospital. So I drive to the hospital. All right, now I left early the day before so I could get a full day of recruiting, and I drove over to Rutgers, wherever the hell that is, drove to Reading, and damn, she waits till about 2 in the morning to have Mick. And I'm passing out. And I'm supposed to be in, and you know how they want you in the room.
Yeah.
When this is when all that.
Yeah.
I never went to any of those classes.
Labaz.
And if I had that kind of a stomach, I wouldn't have been no damn coach. I'd have been a doctor. I don't have the stomach for that stuff. And the nurse says to me, well, you just stand right here. As soon as I got a glimpse of that kid coming.
As tough as they come, right? It doesn't have the stomach to be in there.
Everyone's got that.
I gutted it out. But anyway, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Get back. I got a cheap motel room. I slept till about 2 or 3 hours. Hut-footed it back to Rutgers. Left Rutgers after the game. Came back to the hospital. Saw Mick and Mag. Drove back to Morgantown. Still had the film graded by noon. Had all important grading of the film.
Oh my God!
They got a bad grade this week.
You know, we could do a whole show on that, on the technology and how that thing has changed since you got into the business. So that was the '80 season, and you guys win that last game surprisingly. I mean, what a shocker! West Virginia beat Rutgers. I mean, that never happens.
Well, it happened about 19 times.
That just never happens that they would do that. And so you guys end 6-6. Then this is when everyone realizes that this Don Nehlen guy is going to be something special. You go 9-9-9. 3 straight years of 9 wins from a team that obviously was struggling in the late 1970s.
And real quick, those were 11-game schedules.
11-game schedules.
Yeah, it wasn't 12-game schedules, so that's 9 wins in 11 games. Yeah.
And so, Kirlav, you saw the low point of it, and then you saw the hiring of Don Nehlen. What's the feel, what's the buzz within that program as to why it was working? Why were you having that success?
Kids bought in. And, that's a often used expression, the kids bought in. But I think they understood what we were doing. They understood that we had the potential to be a real good team. Not just good. We had and once you got that idea out in front of the kids that, hey, we're not just playing, because the TV's on. We're playing because we have a chance to really do something here. You have a chance to make a difference, to make this thing special. And it's going to be hard work either way. I mean, it's going to be hard. Anybody that thinks that those teams that go like 1-10 and 2-12 every year, 2-10, they work just as hard as we do. But you got a chance to make a difference, to put your name in West Virginia history, and they bought in. And we had some pretty good players.
You sure did. The second 9-win season was '82, and you opened the year against Oklahoma. You come off the bowl victory against Florida. to put the end to 81,
Right.
and then you go to Oklahoma. In your view, what's the significance of that Oklahoma win?
Nothing amazed me more. Okay, and it's we'd win a game at Cardinal Brennan. I'd celebrate till 6 the next morning. I mean, I'd see the sun come up.
Right.
We beat Oklahoma. I mean, we were probably the biggest underdog. I mean, it just beat Oklahoma at Oklahoma. Beat Oklahoma, Barry Switzer, Oklahoma, Wishbone, Oklahoma. And we turn around and beat these guys. That's unbelievable. And we weren't halfway home yet. We're halfway home yet, and we're talking about Maryland, who we just about beat the next week. I mean, it was like Oklahoma never happened. And that's how quick that Don could put away a game and get on with the next one. And that's where you learn as a coach. You just move right along. If it's a loss, Clint Hurdle say it all the time, wash it off, let's go, get the next one. To win, it doesn't matter. Boom, boom.
You beat Oklahoma 41-27. The next week,
Was
you're
it
home.
19-18, something like that?
You beat Maryland 19-18. You beat
Yeah.
Maryland 19-18, and then you beat Richmond 43-10. You started the season 3-0, and then you go on the road and you play at Pitt and you lose a heartbreaker
Whoa.
16-13.
That one stayed in my head for a long time. I mean, a long time. That was really, really difficult. I thought Talley played probably the greatest game a player could play. I mean, they all played good. And Woody got a chance to make the field goal. It's a 50-some yarder, and he just misses it. That was at Pitt. We didn't lose too many more at Pitt after that.
You physically used to get stomach upset, didn't you, before games?
I could vomit the drop of a hat. Believe me.
I remember that.
Yeah.
You just get
know,
keyed up.
Why? What was it? Not preparation. You were prepared. What was it that caused the nervousness?
You get tight, and not tight in the sense that it inhibits your performance. Tight in the sense that, you want things to go so well, and you know that just because you want it automatically doesn't make it happen. And so there's so many little things go into it, and that game itself. Anytime you lose a tight game, you never, as a coach, you never think to yourself, boy, they played a good game. You think to yourself, where did we screw up? That we lost something, to let it slip away. It was so close, and it's always me as far as the blame goes, and it's hard to live with.
Denny Brown was the defensive coordinator back in that deal. He was a Michigan guy, Michigan quarterback. Don had a relationship with him. He was a different dude, man.
Oh yeah,
He was a colorful guy. You had some guys. You had some personality in that meeting, huh?
He was a hell of a guy, and you had a blend of personalities. With him, you had McConnell, who was another guy that he was a little bit out there, and which I could say the same about myself probably, and Bobby Simmons.
Yeah.
So you had distinct personalities on that staff.
84 season. You guys have a run in the span in October that people still remember and will remember forever, because you finally beat Penn State after decades, and the Boston College Doug Flutie game. That was my first season here. And I kind of walked into that season and went like, whoa, is this how it is here? This is something spectacular and something special.
Everybody thought that. I mean, when it was.
What was the game plan in the Boston College week? You knew what you had to deal with Flutie and his ability to scramble and make plays. What was your recollection of what you were going to do?
I'm getting my games mixed up here. This was when we finished undefeated.
No, 84 season where you had the run and then you lost to Temple and Rutgers because everyone got hurt after you beat Syracuse, BC, and Penn State. That was Freddie Smalls tackling.
That was
Freddie
here.
Smalls and Matt Smith tackling Flutie
I'll
late
tell you
in
a
the game.
story about Brownie. Brownie, we were getting beat. What was it, 20-0 at halftime?
Yeah, I'll look it up, but something.
But something like that. Who knows? You don't have to be exact when it's 30 years ago. And Brownie Whiteside wrote on the board. He told the kids, he wrote 21-20 on the board. God be my judge. And I think, what was the final in that game, Tony?
The final score was West Virginia beat Boston College by a score of 21-20.
Yeah. And that, I mean, he wrote that. I was amazed.
At halftime,
But
wrote
the
that on the
kids,
board.
the kids got after Flutie. I mean, Matt Smith and Freddie Smalls.
Yeah.
Flutie was seeing nightmares. And then it was John Gay on offense. And was Wolfley the
Fullback.
Wolfley was it?
20. The halftime score was 20-6, and so Denny Brown went in there at halftime and said the final score is going to be 21-20.
He wrote it on the board. Yeah, wrote it on the board. Last thing the kids saw when they went out was at 21-20. But Wolfley was, you think different kids. Wolfley was a pure killer. He was a hired assassin.
Yeah, he was.
He just didn't block them. He knocked them 3 rows up into the bleachers.
Because back then you're running I formation and you're running isolation, and he's the lead guy, and he's absolutely just hurting people.
Everything, yeah. And it was the power was double down, kick out, lead through, and I mean everything centered around that fullback. I mean, there were times you could see Wolfley pop it, and I think they're afraid of time. He'd fall over. Just that momentum was so tough going through it, but he was tough guy. I tell you who knew Wolfley real well was Mark Duda, the coach at Lackawanna. They played together. And, knowing Mark and knowing Wolf, they had
two peas in a pod.
Perfect match.
Yeah. So the 84 season ends, if you'll remember. So you guys got hurt, and then Temple, when Andrew Jones jumped off sides and took away the field goal, they missed the field goal. Then they replayed it because West Virginia jumped off sides, lose a game. Not to remember anything, but
that hurt.
That hurt.
I've cursed him for more times than I can remember. But even the guys at Arizona know the Andrew Jones story, and I would be telling the kids, and Rich was on that team.
Yes, he was.
And Rich, I would get halfway through the story, and Rich would finish it every time. Oh, and there was blood in both our eyes.
And the season against TCU Blue Bonnet Bowl. And that was a great way. And they had Kenneth Davis and Matt Smith.
They were the nation's. They led the nation in offense, and they were like a perfect 2,500 running and 2,500 passes, balanced men. Leach says it don't mean anything. When you get up into them high numbers, it means something. It's over 2,000. That's a lot of yards. But we beat them.
Matt Smith broke Kenneth Davis's leg.
Yeah,
tackled him early in the game.
It was Mac McDonald.
No,
was Matty
Smith. And after the game, Denny Brown one of the reporters from Texas said, "What's it mean for a team like West Virginia to come to Texas and beat TCU?" Denny, he'd never hesitate to give you a line, and he said, "Well, someone may want to tell someone down here that they didn't invent the sport of football in Texas." So he gave him that one, and said, "See, good to see you." Right?
Yeah. Well, that whole week was that. That's what it's about. No, I mean there was a lot of that going on. And I think that still goes on, Everybody knows we invented it in West Virginia now.
First time you saw Major Harris on the practice field, he's a true freshman in 86. He redshirts that season, then 87 he starts to take over. Did you know instantly that you had something entirely different?
Absolutely.
You did?
Before that. I knew when we were we had the deal in the spring, and I'm watching him start at the foul line, jump over, a guy, and then dunk a basketball. And T. Ellis was on the team.
Theron Ellis,
those dunk contests, I mean, the NBA doesn't do any better than those two guys. And Harris was still the best football player I've ever seen. Total. When you talk about, you have one game plan for the other 10 other guys, and you have another game plan for this guy, because he was absolute difference maker. He was the guy that you didn't want to miss. I mean, those years that Harris played, my adjustments on for the defensive line were the quickest I ever had. I mean, it was boom, 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 and get back up. I didn't want to miss nothing, because it ain't like the fans. You didn't get a chance to see this stuff on, as a coach. You're busy working on the next.
So that's interesting. So as a coach, you wanted to sit there
I
and watch
wanted to
what
see
Major
it.
did when he had the ball.
That when he went the wrong way that time, I saw it.
How about that?
He was phenomenal.
And yet he didn't like to practice. He didn't want to lift. All he wanted to do was play and win.
Yeah, well, what the hell?
Right? I mean,
winning ain't bad.
but you know what I mean?
Lifting ain't for everybody now.
But you know what I mean? He did not fit the mold of like first guy in. He just wanted. He
wasn't
fun.
the first guy in, last guy out of the weight room and all of that. But you know what, though? He played hurt. He was very, very tough, smarter than what you think. His only problem was he was ahead of his time. If he could have just been born 10 years later, I mean, he'd have been all world in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because he was a fullback playing quarterback. He played quarterback. You know, the test of any quarterback, if you think about it, if you really analyze it, is what the quarterback does inside the 20s. Not from 20 to 20. From 20 to, 20, 0 to 20 coming out, 20 to 0 going in. And that's, if you look back on Mage's career, that was where Mage did the best. That's where Mage excelled. All the other guys that do it between the 20s, to me, they're pretenders. I can teach a monkey to go out and play quarterback between the 20s. You get inside the 20s, things start closing down a little bit, and then it becomes real football.
That's a really good thought. I never put it in that perspective, but obviously you spent your life doing that. That's where the money's made, right? Inside the 20s, coming in and coming out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That and golfing, I spent my life.
Yeah, I know.
Growing tomatoes, which is what I'd be planting today.
How many plants do you have going right now?
I got up there late. I didn't get back from Florida till after Memorial Day, and I got 12 of the San Marzanos.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Real nice tomato.
You make sauce with those?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll make my own. I've been making my own sauce for 20 years now.
So the Italians over in Eastern PA showed you how to do that? Growing up?
Let me tell you something. I make better sauce than any. I defy the Italian to come up to me and tell me how to make sauce.
Wow. You bottle it? You jar it?
I just learned how to can last year. Well, I just been retired. I mean,
I know you were busy. You had a career. Oh no, I mean a job.
But I used to freeze it.
Yeah.
But it's better when you put them in the little mason jars.
Yeah, it's fun too.
Yeah,
it's fun. Well, that's a whole nother show in itself.
And I love to eat it. To me, everywhere, that's where I like Bradenton. There's at least 3 places down there, good Italian places.
What's your favorite noodle when you do pasta? What do you eat?
I'm going to tell you something, Tony, a noodle you never heard of. My favorite noodle.
Give it to me.
Pappardelle.
Oh, yeah.
You heard of
pappardelle?
Oh,
sure.
I love the pappardelle.
Yeah, okay.
Nice thick noodle.
Yeah.
But it's egg noodle. It's 7 minutes. It's all you got to boil it.
You're done.
And they got a nice bunch of it down there in Publix down there. I brought it home.
Did you?
Yeah.
You can get those here. Go up to Strip District in Pittsburgh. You can get anything you want, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
Next time I go, I'm going to get you.
I make my visits up the Strip. Believe me, the bread, I love the bread. That's my next thing. I know how to make the sauce.
Oh, you didn't say bread, did you? You didn't say bread. Not with the bread. Well, get ready, part 3 of the podcast, because we're off football for a minute. That's all he does anymore is make bread. That's all he does.
I love bread.
Let me tell you something. I found it.
Kirlav.
All this winter, while with basketball was going on, I found this guy, the bread guy, in New York City. His name's Jim Leahy, Sullivan Street Bakery. And I saw what he was doing. I said, I cannot wait for basketball to be over because I don't have time on the weekends to do it. So I've started pretty much every single weekend since the season's been over. I'm telling you what, buddy, holy heck. How good is it?
Hey.
How good is it?
It's fine.
Tony, it ain't a meal if you don't have bread.
Exactly.
If there's not good bread there is no. I'm going to tell you something now. I eat a certain way. And then be it as it may. But what I eat, it ain't Tex-Mex. It ain't barbecue.
Yeah.
It ain't 3,000 pounds of mac and cheese. It ain't all the stuff we ate out in Arizona. I dropped 17 pounds out in Arizona.
You can't eat there, can you?
Can't eat.
No.
Can't eat. I found one good Italian place. And, it'd be a C or a B, a C plus B. But it was a big, big difference. If they took Mario's out to Tucson, Mario would make a fortune. He's probably making it already.
Now we're showing pictures of bread.
How you doing this, Tony?
That's what that. Yeah, take a look if you would, Kirlav. Appreciate you taking a look.
By the way, if you're listening to the audio version, you might want to jump over to the video version to see the pictures. Caridi's passing a phone to Kirlav with pictures of his bread. Are we live? Is this thing on?
Yeah, it's on. How pretty is that, Kirlav?
Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much. So what that is, Kirlav, that is slow fermentation, small amounts of yeast. That dough goes for 20 hours. I raise it for 20 hours. I let it sit for 20 hours
inside the plastic.
Inside the plastic, and
you got the plastic.
Oh yeah.
Top.
It's just covered. It's covered for the first rise is 18 to 24 hours, and then the second rise I'll do another 4 or 5 hours, and then when it's ready, dude, I'm telling you what, it makes you cry. It's so good. I'm bringing it.
Well, when you say second rise, you bust it and then
I set it all over exactly. I just basically fold it. All I'm doing first, I'm just folding it once, putting it down, putting it into a ball, and letting it go again.
Nice and crusty.
Oh,
what they call it, the artesian.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah,
it's artesian.
Oh, I love it.
How about those?
Believe me, I've seen this.
My mouth is.
Thank you. I've seen it.
You folks at home can't see this, but my mouth is watering.
I got you.
There's nothing better in the morning than a nice cup of tea, some Italian bread, and just butter. God.
Totally, I'm totally in.
I just was at the heart doctor's. I'm in great shape.
All right,
Dr. Lavin.
Get back to '88 in the national championship season.
He can rest now.
The national championship game.
Yeah.
When Major got hurt.
Ooh. It was a dagger to the heart. Yeah, it was really tough. I mean, that had Major. Notre Dame wasn't better than us. Notre Dame wasn't a better football team than we were, and probably a lot of people give me an argument on that. But this Major got hurt, and you don't have two Majors on a team. There ain't two Majors in the country.
Right.
But our fortune. We hung in there. But things weren't the same. Things weren't the same.
That deflates a team.
Big time.
Your whole game plan was going to be Mage and just let him roll, and boom.
If Mage wasn't playing, then Mage was really hurt. Because Mage would play hurt. Mage was tougher than hell.
So he's the best player you've ever seen?
Oh, absolutely. To me, he's what it's all about. Now, I mean, we've had great players here in West Virginia, but Major Harris could. I mean, I just thought he was a hell of a player.
Go back to that week of, before you get to the actual game day. Were you so much into the details that once you got to Arizona, the preparations are underway, it's just a game? Or was it always back like, hey, this is a national championship game? How did you approach that with your guys and internally?
Practice is practice. We practiced and we did our thing and that kind of thing. So it doesn't, but all, you walk out on the field and baby, this is the big one. And that's when it really hit you. When
you would lay your head down at night, did you ever think, this may be my one chance at a national championship? This is how did you approach that personally from a career standpoint?
I think that way about every game. I approach every game like it's going to be my last game. And to me, that's the way I'd want the kids to think about it. I want every game, and every practice for that matter. I want the level of intensity to be that this is the 7th game of the World Series, brother. And that's what you train the kids for. And I think in your own head, that's what you train yourself for. And if there's a little butterflies, to me, the only guys that don't get butterflies are guys that don't really care about the outcome of the game either. And of course, we cared about it.
You went undefeated twice in the regular season, the 93 season as well. That was an entirely different type of team than the 88 team. The 88 team was just pure talent and explosive. 93 team kind of embodied the mentality of the program, didn't it? Just find a way, blue collar, we're going to outwork you.
You know what? The 93 team, to me, was less talent, more no-name guys like Wes Richardson. And Steve would tell you, Wes Richardson played. He was busted up. I mean, you couldn't get him out.
Yeah,
you couldn't get him out. He was like a forerunner of Blue McLean. These guys, they didn't know what it meant to be hurt. But these are guys that didn't have that 89 team or 88, whatever the hell it was. They were a talented group.
Yeah,
they were very, very talented. One of the guys that never gets talked about, that might be as good a player as we've ever had, defensive lineman, is Chris Parker. Chris Parker was a phenomenal player. I mean, and there was a lot of guys like him. Chris Herring. I can remember Chris Herring, little skinny linebacker, till he came to the house one day. Look at this big red-headed guy. Holy smokes. He's longer from the forearm to the tip of his fingers than than I am from the waist to the top of my head. Yeah. So these guys that we thought were small are pretty big, but they're good football players. But this team didn't have that, but they played well together. And I think after that, the ability to play well together, I think that was our deal with Rich, is that, and what we're talking about in the office, is in order to play well together, you just don't do that on Saturday afternoons. That has to be brought about in practice that week. That has to be nurtured in practice that week. When the kids tell you that their favorite defense isn't a zero blitz, it's base. It's base. When they get in trouble, I mean, and you look at a lot of teams, well, they want to blitz more. That's their answer. Well, our answer wasn't. Our answer was go back and play base, because that's what we know the best, because that's what we have 3 million reps of, and they played it well. And that's the team concept is what I think those guys really had going for them.
You are very upset to this day that the Big East and Eastern football imploded.
Crushed. Absolutely crushed. And there's a lot of people I point the finger at and blame for that. And, probably a lot of guys that tell me I'm wrong, and a lot of them would be very, very insulted to know that I was saying it, because it doesn't get said enough. I think that, number one, I think Tranghese, I think he deserves a lot of the blame. A lot of the blame. And ESPN deserves a lot of the blame. You understand, there was 6 major conferences, and all of a sudden, it's almost like you got 6 children, you can only afford 5. You got to send one to an orphanage because you can't keep them, and that's what it was like. So they had to cut our throat. They had to cut the Big East throat. And was it because we played that lousy? No, because we took those nondescript kids and made them first-round draft picks. And when I say we, I'm talking as a league. We took guys that, because you didn't hear of them or you didn't rate them a 5-star, well, what, were they forever means they're going to be no good? Or because we didn't have a top 20 recruiting class? By who? Some guy delivers mail in Chicago? Give me a break. These idiots. So what they did, they cut us off at the knees. And so he said, well, we're going to go. So one team jumps, another team jumps, and before you know it, there's no Big East. Yeah. You think about what we had with the Big East. You just think about it. We had easy access for fans to go to games. It was a fan-friendly league. And there was just so many pluses to it. It just turns my stomach. It really turns my stomach. And it was competitive. And we won games. And we beat good teams. And we didn't back off. We were competitive as hell. And because somebody up in Connecticut decides that, well, we only won 5 power conferences. We're the sacrificial lamb. And I'd like to see somebody, Tranghese or somebody, stand up and take ownership. Say, yeah, I sold you out. I mean, I get out to Arizona, and the frickin' the Mountain West has a better bowl setup than we had in the Big East. And they weren't a major conference. They had a much better bowl setup than we did. I mean, other than our championship games, the rest of them might as well have been going to China to play. Yeah. But yeah, that really, really broke my heart.
Yeah. You get it. You knew what it was. And I don't know if that'll ever change, if it'll ever come back around.
It has to, Tony.
I hope it does.
If you look at Major League Baseball, NFL football, they're not divided up. They're divided up regionally. Yep. And sooner or later, we're going to figure out that, it's a hell of a lot easier to fly from Pittsburgh to Newark, New Jersey, than it is to fly from Pittsburgh to where the hell's Texas Tech at?
Lubbock, Texas.
Lubbock, Texas. I mean, it's just cheaper. And I know that's going to take a while for all the ADs for that to sink in, because that requires a whole lot of thinking. I mean, you got to have a GPS to do that. And if we organize this thing regionally, we all could make more money. We could be more competitive. We could fill stadiums, and maybe we could get a 103-year-old rival. See, Huggins knows it. Huggins is playing Pitt. He ain't gonna let it go.
He's always wanted to. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's always wanted to.
He played Pitt this year, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We will again this year coming up.
But football, We threw that down the dump. We don't do that anymore. Too big for that. How are you too big for that? Give me a break.
When Don Nehlen announced his resignation, it was the week of the Syracuse game. Did it stun you, or did you sense that was coming?
I kind of, I don't know. I had some people talk to me. I kind of knew it was coming. I didn't know it was coming that day. You know, the one, I won't say who, the one woman told my wife halfway through the season, is your husband worried? She said, worried about what? She said, Don's going to retire. And I never knew that. You know, nobody's told me in an official sense, but, you know, they were close, and I figured, you know, maybe she wasn't as dumb as she was cabbage looking, but dang.
The game that, one of the most bizarre games that in my memory was the last game that Coach Nehlen and you guys coached. I thought the chaos level was at an absolute peak.
Bowl game. You're talking about the Music City Bowl.
Game. The Ole Miss, because
the only one that had topped that, Tony, was the Champs Bowl. Yeah, that was a real nut house. Half the staff was fired. See, one was chaotic, the other was really crazy.
Yeah. So Coach Neal's like, so everyone's kind of like dead man walking in that preparation. I thought they're not going to be prepared. They're not.
No chance.
No chance. And then you go out there and you guys played a great game, a great way to end. You know, for Coach Nehlen to get that W.
You know, that's what we do for a living. That's what the kids do, and nobody was going to let up because of the coaching situation. Yeah. Nobody was going to just say, "Well, I'm not going to give it my all. I'm going to take this week and spend it looking for another job." You know, we knew it was on our plate, and we went out and done it. And that was to the man. To the man.
What's your recollection of when that transition happens and Rich comes in?
You know, it's you know, I have a lot of recollections. A lot of them I can't say here. It was surprising, you know, not surprising that it would have been Rich that would get the job. I kind of liked the idea that we brought our own guy in, brought one of our guys back. I always liked that as not that it's a be all end all, not that it's. You have to do that to be successful. I don't mean that. I mean that, you know, he's one of our guys. But there was a lot of surprises, a ton of surprises.
Which way? How so?
Well, you know, I really couldn't put my finger on anything that I could even say on the air that I would want to say right now. It's just that there was... I don't know. This there was the you know what brought this on type thing. How did this happen? And we didn't know about it. You know, you had the feeling that this was all in the works. This was done. This wasn't done that day. This was done long before. And like idiots, you know, coaches have a way of ignoring things. We didn't know anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just caught you by a little off guard. I was aware, but you weren't aware till the day it happens.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when your 98-year-old grandmother dies. I mean, you know she ain't gonna live to be 1,000, but that day you're shocked. Right. And when common sense takes, listen, she's 98 years old. She don't want to be hanging around anymore. And then it's once it, you know, everything settles down, the smoke clears, everything's all right.
Yeah. Transition, man. We talked about changing culture. He changed the entire culture.
Oh, yeah. He speeded things up a little bit. You know, he changed the culture. He, and a lot of it was pretty good. Pretty good. He, you know, his thing, his offense turned everything around. Nobody could handle that offense except us. we would kick the hell out of him in practice every day.
He would probably be all right with that, wouldn't he? He would never lose his temper that his offense was getting jacked around.
Occasionally he would. Occasionally, like every day. Yeah, he didn't, you know, it's almost like a personal insult.
He, so play like your hair's on fire, put some extra air in your helmet, wrap your tape up a little bit tighter.
Tighten the laces.
Tighten the laces up. So all of those things, I mean, he sold that to the team.
Rich brought an energy.
Right. And the fan base also just like totally said, I'm in on that too, right?
He was our guy.
Yeah.
He was our guy, and he played for West Virginia. He's from West Virginia, played high school at West Virginia, he coached at West Virginia, and he had that kind of a personality. I mean, he could go out and sell refrigerators to Eskimos. I mean, that's how he was into it. And when Rich takes a program, Rich lives the program. Rich becomes the program. I mean, whatever they're paying him, this guy's giving him 24 hours a day. He does do that. And there was that new energy, that new feeling, the difference. Then he wants this change and wants that change. He gets a pocket full of changes that he wants made and additions. And, I mean, it was always something.
Yeah, absolutely. Power. So he runs power spread, and defenses are having a tough
Impossible.
time. Rasheed Marshall, and then transitions, right, and through the whole thing there.
Bednarik, and then of course the Louisville game when Pat White, and Pat was he was like the second coming of Major, smaller version, but the second coming of Major Harris, and Pat was extraordinary because when Pat, by the time the thing was over, Pat had taken ownership, which is the ultimate level that a coach could get a player to, because it's not really, even though coaches like to say, this is my team, this ain't your team, this is their team. This is their team. And whether it wins, loses, or whatever, it'll be on their efforts. And Pat really took ownership, and that's what I always liked about Pat. He was like having another coach on the field. And it really kicked it into high gear at the time.
And that was the night, that Louisville game, much like we would do as fans. You're watching that. That's when you guys probably went, okay, we got a little something here. Here we go.
Now we're going to flip it over into. You know what it's like, Tony? It's like Nehlen's the 9-3 year, first 9-3 year.
Right.
We'll turn that over, beat Maryland at Maryland. Once we beat Maryland, then it was okay. Now we crossed the threshold. Now we can
game on.
It's game on now. Now we're as good as anybody there is. And with Rich's team, it was when we beat Louisville. Now it was boom. And Rich was a hell of a coach. I'll say it to this day. Rich was he's a damn good coach.
What makes him good? Just the fact that he lives it?
He lives it. That every second, every minute you're on is a minute you can't get back. You can never get back. And we all know it, but he emphasizes it over and over and over again, that we got to make the most out of the short time that we're doing this stuff. And watch his guys practice. I mean, they're going live in shorts. I mean, it's that heat is always on. Every game, every day is the seventh game of the World Series. Every day.
So is it the energy in the organization even more so than the schematics, the X's and O's that he brings?
It complements the schematics. It complements. He wants to put you in a situation that tests you so that when it comes to the games are going to be easy. Because you will never be tested in a game like he's going to test you in practice. And that's why if you ever watch him, he's behind that quarterback. He's up that quarterback's butt the whole time. That kid can't do nothing right. And if he breaks down, then he'll break down the game. But if he can endure that day after day after day, there's nothing he's going to see. There's no tough situations for him. This kid will be able to get through everything. And he's like that with all the kids.
Yeah. You think he becomes a head coach again sometime?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because somebody out there wants to win. And you know that Rich reminds me. You know who the best manager ever in baseball? You're not even going to tell me. You're going to tell me Casey Stengel. You're going to tell me. You know who the best manager? I watched the show. I was shocked.
Who is it?
Billy Martin.
Wow. Billy
Martin would. I don't care. he would go to the Oakland A's, who were in last place in the division, and with the same guys win the division. I don't know if they won the World Series or not. He would do it over and over and over again. He'd find a way to wear out a welcome. That's why Steinbrenner didn't hire him all those times because he was an ex-Yankee. Steinbrenner hired him because he was the best coach in baseball. He'll never get to the Hall of Fame. But Billy was Billy. And through whatever reason, Rich reminds me a lot.
Yeah, I
of
think
Billy.
it's good because Billy always had a little drama, always circulating around there, and Rich always had a little something, a little sideshow going.
Even Tony La Russa said how much Billy knew the game. Billy knew the game. He told Tony, he said, watch, he said, this guy's going to steal. He said, sure enough, the next play, he steals second. And Billy knew it ahead of time. And Billy's like, Rich knows the game. Rich knows the game. And if he keep everything peaceful in that, he could blast in the play because I'm not sure there's a better coach out there than Rich.
Wow, interesting.
I mean, he's tough, and I mean, there's a lot of things. Everybody has personality quirks. No two coaches are the same. Everybody got them. Every assistant has them. And I don't know.
So you think he's got a run left in him?
Oh, absolutely. I think he's got a big run left in him. I think right now he's just putting stuff in the old computer head of his, and he's got a whole litany of stuff that he's ready to pop on somebody as soon as he gets his job.
Rich leaves here, and I don't need to tell you that it was an absolute it was a mushroom cloud.
Yeah.
And Stu is elevated to the job. Fiesta Bowl, West Virginia goes out and plays Oklahoma and beats the Sooners. That was kind of like, when you think about it now, it was like a surreal time, wasn't it?
Definitely surreal. I mean, it's about as surreal as you could get. And it surprised me. It surprised everybody. All these guys interviewing, and every guy that interviewed thought they were the guy that was going to get the job because I talked to them all. They thought they were the guy that was going to get the job. And so we win the game. I go back to my room, and I do what any good coach would do. I opened up a bottle of whiskey, and I drank half of it. And drank it, Crown Royal and Royal Crown, whatever the hell it is.
And then the phone rings.
No. Then I walk over to the room.
Yeah. And
Joe Manchin grabs me, bear hugs me, and he tells me, Stu's going to be your next coach. And it is Stu. I said, that's great, And they go in, and naturally I need another shot of whiskey, and they gave me a shot of that. What's the one with the Maker's Mark?
Yeah.
I thought, how bad can this be? It was like taking a shot of battery acid. Holy Christ. That burned for 3 days. But that's, and then Stu and I talked the next day, and naturally.
He loved you.
Oh, yeah, Stu was a great guy. I mean, West Virginia, when we travel, we always make it so that when we leave a game, we leave at the worst times. I mean, surely whoever makes those plans, it's a charter plane. They'll go, we're paying for it. They'll go anytime we want them to go. Why we always got to go early in the morning? I mean, the hangover ain't even gone yet. And Stu's coming to says, "Crab, you got to coach her. You got see." I told Rich I wasn't going to go to Michigan, and I wanted to retire then.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, I'm not going up there where it's that cold. Good God, And then I was thinking of retiring, and he said, "Oh, you got to go." So I said, "I'm in. I'm with you." Little did I know that me, him, and Jeff were the only ones. Period. That Mike Karen was there. But the four of us, that was the only
survivors.
Yeah, we sat in that meeting like looking around. Said, we got to hire not just the staff. We got to hire a strength coach. We got to hire this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy. Gee, criminy.
Did Stu inherit a impossible position because Rich had won?
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I've always thought.
You always want to be the guy that comes in after the guy that comes in. Stu walked right into that, and Stu didn't do bad. Stu won, and this. I was gonna bring this up. Don wins
9-9-9.
9-9-9, And, I mean, we're on our way. West Virginia's ready to roll. And Stu wins 9-9-9, and we want to fire him. Ooh, when did that come around? You know, and Stu was a good guy. And like I said, our practices with Stu were as good as any that have maybe better than any that we've been around. We had good practices, and he had his own way of doing things. And like I said with Rich, his peculiarities, everybody has them. Stu got them, Rich got them, Don got them, I got them. You know, there's no coach that's uniquely saintly. I mean, you know what I'm talking about? You'll never go to Mass on Sunday and see a coach up on the altar with Mother Teresa and Elizabeth Ann Seton. Those statues, you know.
That's what they are. They're statues.
There's no candles in front of the statue.
Yeah, exactly. So he inherited. That's what I used to tell him that. I said, dude, you're in a no-win situation here. 11, 11, 11. You either have to win 11 or win 12.
Right.
Or someone's going to go.
There wasn't a lot of left. There wasn't a lot of up left in that.
The up was all gone. And so that's how that whole thing transpired out of there.
To me, it didn't have to end the way it did.
That's got you extremely angry.
Really, really, that getting out of the Big East. To me, if I'm your boss, okay, I'm your boss, and I don't like the job you're doing, I'm going to call you in and fire you. I'm not going to embarrass you over there. I'm not going to ruin your reputation. I'm not going to humiliate you or try to. To me, it's just simply, okay, you're fired. I mean, you won. You're probably the winningest coach ever in West Virginia, and history's going to show that I look like an idiot for firing you. But I didn't like the way it ended at all. At all. I thought it was totally unfair to Stu. I thought Stu deserved better. And, I mean, he coached with dignity. I thought that his dismissal should have been handled in a lot more dignified manner than the way it was handled.
You think he died of a broken heart?
I think he did, because I think he loved West Virginia, and I think he loved coaching. And I think whatever, you know, I know how I felt when we left. I know that feeling, but there was something else at the other end of the line which softened the blow. There was nothing at the end of the line for him, and it didn't have to be that way. It just didn't have to be that way, and I always felt bad. Always felt bad and was shocked. I can remember being in California and Maggie calls. I heard this. I said, it can't be true. You know, he's running. He was always in shape. He lifted. He did this. I felt horrible. And it just made me more ticked off. Then I'm not even, like I said, I don't want to go there. Those were years that were, and it just shouldn't have been like that, you know. And God, we had good times together. Well, you couldn't be with Stu and not have a good time. I want to hear, I mean, there'll be a lot of people listening to this, right? I want somebody to tell me that you were with Stu and you didn't have a good time. Because one thing I know about you, you're a liar. It was always, and I can remember guys going into a high school and some coach coming out, hey, he said, you're my favorite. And this guy wasn't even a football coach, you know, and they all knew Stu.
Yeah, an unbelievable touch.
Yeah.
Unbelievable touch. He touched you and it was like.
Yep, and they liked him. The kids liked him. He was real with them. And what are you going to do? It just, nobody ever said life was fair. And surely when you get my age that, you know life ain't fair. But we could have been, for the smart guys that we supposedly had in charge, they could have been a lot smarter with that. Let's move on to the next thing.
Let's talk about Arizona. You happy you went there?
Yeah, I liked Arizona.
You did?
Yeah, I did like Arizona. I never, ever dreamed I'd leave West Virginia. Because West Virginia, to me, was more than a job. It was, I don't know, it was home. It was, my 3 kids went here. You can, I don't know, you get ingrained. You love a place so much that I just could never picture me leaving. I mean, there I am with my bag in my hand like a bum. Bag in my hand. I'm on a plane wondering, what am I doing? I just couldn't see me. And then, Tony, I'm going to tell you the craziest thing. What really got me was looking down at these frickin' red shoes. I mean, what am I doing? I never wore red in my life. Never. I got this red shirt on. All I need is STOP on my back. I mean, good God. And Castillo felt the same way. I mean, we're just like, but we got into it. And again, it was, and I'll reiterate this, it wasn't something we wanted to do. This isn't something that came to me in an epiphany in the middle of the night and said, go to Arizona, go west, young man. Horace Greeley didn't appear. It was, it was something that for
you guys felt you had to go.
Felt we had to go. The philosophical differences were too much, all the way around. And that's as far as I'll get into that. But we got on the bus, so we got on the plane, and we went. And it was a different place.
Pac-12 football any good?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Was football, or is football different out there, Pac-12 versus what you were used to?
I didn't think, as a whole, it was near as physical as what we just get done playing. And I know other guys out there read some articles saying, we're not going to win with West Virginia. We won with West Virginia kids. When I think back, we won. And West Virginia kids, meaning not just kids from West Virginia. To me, if I recruited a kid from Pennsylvania, he was a West Virginia kid. Ask John Thornton what he is. I'm a West Virginia guy. Aaron Beasley, I'll tell you
that's a mentality.
It's that West Virginia mentality. Mm-hmm. And you can't win with that. Well, you're the only guy that couldn't win with it. But I thought the Big East was more physical. We had a little more talent out there as far as the quarterback. When we went out there, they had some great quarterbacks. Like Barkley and the kid at Stanford. He does a good job.
Yeah.
If I was still coaching, I would visit
David Shaw. You're talking about.
Really, I think he's one of the best coaches in the country. Obviously Nick Dabo's doing great, but this guy Shaw, he got something about him, and his teams are really, really physical, and they play really, really hard. I liked him, and what we did was we went out there. We won more games the 4 years we were there, more games than Arizona ever had, one in a 4-year stretch. I mean, they just put Toomey in. It's odd that they fired Toomey, then turn around, Dick Toomey and Toomey, and put him in their Hall of Fame. It's like us not hiring Greg Jones, but turn around and putting Greg Jones in our Hall of Fame. Universities never cease to amaze me. But we won more games. We won the only championship they ever won. We won the Southern Division Championship. At the time was the toughest division in football. And it was different. You got to play in the Rose Bowl. I never saw the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
I thought Coliseum was really neat.
Yeah, L.A. Coliseum. Yeah.
Coliseum was that. You know how it was when we played at LSU. It was that kind of atmosphere.
So, so you've literally gone coast to coast. I mean, you've coached.
Yeah.
You've coached across the country, and you've done that deal there. So.
Problem with coaching out there was, we missed West Virginia every minute. I mean, we missed it a lot. I mean, to the point where we would watch you guys play basketball, and with the team, look in behind and see who we win.
See who's in the stands.
See who's in the stands, and we couldn't wait to get back here. I had my hand was falling like this one is now. My hand was falling asleep at night. I had to get a carpal tunnel operation. So I had it set up. So we come back from the bowl game, and I told the doctor, I said, look, I'm going to get this operation, and I'm going to get on a plane. I'm going to be home. 'Cause I'm getting home. And Billy's with me, and I get the thing done in Phoenix. And it's a quick operation. And so I wake up. There's a nurse sitting there in the recovery room. Billy's sitting here. I wake up. Clemma said, okay, let's go. Where you going? I said, doctor said I go home. So where's home? I said, Pittsburgh. I'm going home. I'm flying back to Pittsburgh today. He said, oh, no, you're not. You got to stay here for an hour. I waited 60 minutes.
And you walked.
Then I said, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Me and him went and got
Almost
breakfast.
heaven, West Virginia.
Almost
Take me home,
heaven.
country roads, huh?
That's exactly right.
Whether you got a syringe in
And
you
if
or
you
not.
think,
huh?
hey, and if you think hearing that song out in Arizona,
Oh, I know, buddy.
don't get to you. Oh, God, you got to have a heart of stone.
So Florida half the year, West Virginia the rest of the half of the year,
Right.
and you
Down to watch the Pirates in Bradenton.
and your son Billy is a member of the staff at Iowa State, and they absolutely ran West Virginia off the field this past year, and I'm sure that
West Virginia
had to be
did
kind
have
of
a rough game there.
had to be kind of weird for Billy. I mean, going like, whoa, yeah.
You know, it's going to really be weird because Iowa State comes in here this year.
Yeah, oh, that'll be really weird for him.
You know, when me and Billy got out there, you know, I mean, what does Billy know? Right? So I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get a house together. And, you know, I'll pay after rent. You know, none of us, you know, me and him. So we get out there, and his wife comes out, and we go through a whole year. And I said, he don't want to live with me no more.
Shocker.
And I'm thinking, you know, it's that wife of yours don't like me, huh? So we go our own way. 2 years later, I got grandkids. And old stupid me just figured it out.
Self-awareness, right? Most coaches, very self-aware coach.
Yeah. I always figure stuff out in the end.
It comes. It comes eventually. Well, listen, man. This is one that we've wanted to do for a long, long time, and I know that we talked. Heck, it was back when there was snow on the ground. I remember, and you said, "When I get back, I promise you I'll do it." And I'm certainly glad that you did. I hope you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed the hell out of it.
That's good.
I couldn't do it the day we're talking about. The train, it's a 17-hour, 21 and a half hours on the
You put your car on the train, you come up from
Auto
Florida,
train,
and it goes
yeah.
to Virginia.
Yep.
Yeah, Lorton, Virginia.
Lorton, Virginia, and I drive over the hump, and I'm here.
Yeah.
But it's not bad. But 21 hours, that's a little much. They got off late. I mean, there was so many screw-ups, it's not even funny.
It's not a problem. It's not a problem
It's
at
like
all.
throw Maggie from the train. I was about ready to do it.
All right. So look, man, you may be an old school guy, but you just did your first podcast.
Hey, how about that?
Huh? What do you think, Senator?
Well, this medium was made for Kirlaugh.
Exactly.
There's no question.
You have an absolute open invitation whenever you want to come in. You know, Dunlap comes in here during the season too. You know
I
that.
didn't do anything. I didn't congratulate him.
Oh, I'm getting in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, Stevie Dunlap.
Yeah, I got.
Yeah.
Boy, I wish I'd have done that. I feel remorse.
Well, we're still
You're
recording.
on. We're still rolling. You're
still
live.
on.
Yeah, we're still
Absolutely.
rolling.
Absolutely.
You know,
You're recording.
I can't congratulate Steve hard enough. There was, to me, he's a true mountaineer. He played. He, you know, lived the life.
Absolutely
He's
true.
the life of mountaineer, and to me, that mountaineer downtown could have Steve's face.
Yeah,
But
totally.
a terrific coach, terrific man, and a great player. And I enjoyed like hell working with him.
Yeah, he was one of the. He had brains on top of his brains when
Yes,
it came
he
to the
did.
X's
Yes, he
and
did.
the O's. Hey, folks, a reminder that today's program has been brought to us by Donate Life West Virginia, and you can absolutely help save someone's life. I don't mean that in a figurative sense. I mean that in a literal sense. You can save someone's life by getting involved with Donate Life West Virginia. More than 113,000 people currently waiting on a life-saving organ donation. And another person is added to the list. Believe this or not, every 12 minutes, someone's added to the donation list. 113,000 people need organs as we speak. That's twice as many people as Milan Pushkar Stadium. All you have to do to get involved with this is sign up. Go to the website, donatelifewv.org, and sign up. Donatelifewv.org. You know, oftentimes in our lives we say, you know, what can I do to help? What can I do to have meaning in my life? Well, maybe this is something you want to start to think about and something you want to consider, because you can truly save someone else's life. So donatelifewv.org. And our program is also brought to us by the good folks at Wheeling Island Hotel, Casino, and Racetrack, where coming up here soon, they've got a lot of stuff going on. We invite you to check it out on July 12th. Bruce Springsteen in action, so to speak. It's a Glory Days tribute to Bruce Springsteen. Enjoy all the biggest hits. Tickets just $15, available through Wheeling Island Gift Shop or through Ticketmaster. So check it out. at Wheeling Island coming up on July the 12th. That'll do it for us. For our special guest, Bill Kirelawich, for the Senator Brad Howe, this has been episode 122 of Three Guys Before the Game. Thanks so much. Share the word. Tell people about it, and we'll be back at you down the road. Take care, everybody.